Good evening. My name is Thurman Greco, and the name of this show is Let's Live with Thurman Greco, and we're coming to you from Woodstock, New York, Channel 23, and from YouTube. And I want to thank every one of you for watching this show because we have such a wonderful guest this evening. We have Avigayil Landsman, and this is not your first time.
No, it's not.
What is this, the third time?
I don't know.
I think this is the third. Yes, this is the third time. You can get the original shows on YouTube, which will be really nice if you're interested in studying letters from heaven. You can listen to you can watch the original shows. Now, tell me, Avigayil. Tell me. Let's start off. Let's tell the world what you do.
Well, I got interested in the Hebrew letters when I became a serious Torah student. And I learned that the letters derive from more ancient pictograms. And over time, the pictograms became ideograms because they had meaning. And then over time, as writing developed, it was too much trouble to write a big picture. So they became abstracted, so that the letters, the Hebrew letters, don't necessarily look like those objects, but the name of the letters suggest what they're derived from, and they're all derived from objects in the physical world. Those objects have meaning, and I probed that and words that they begin with, and developed a system of including illustrations. So I created a deck of cards to go with the Hebrew letters, and the book talks about the numerical value and the derivation and the words they begin with and how to pronounce the letter, and then a psalm or a poem that reflects the meaning of the Hebrew letter. Very often there's an energy of the letter, so I dedicate it to certain people that reflect the energy of that letter. And then I talk about the letter perhaps in the Torah, how it reflects in my life, but a universal quality about a moment in my life. And then for people who want to do readings, I give a spiritual practice and a practical practice, or application, I should say. So there's a way of doing a reading like tarot, but using the Hebrew letters. And there's 22 Hebrew letters, just as there are 22 majors in the Tarot Major Arcana.
And you wrote a book?
Yeah, so this is the book, and the book includes all of the information that I just went over.
Well, now, how do you get this book?
If you go to Letters from Heaven, the book, there is a shop, and you can contact the shop and order it online. Or you could order it from me.
And if we want to order it from you, how do we do that?
Through the website, and you could also, I guess, call me at 845-684-5656.
Now let me ask you something. You did the book, and we've got the cards. Mm-hmm. Now, you designed the cards.
Yes.
And
it came from my studies.
Now, you haven't, so if somebody wants to buy the book, they can buy the book. And then if they want to get the cards, they can buy the cards.
Yes.
But it's not necessary to have the book and the cards.
No. The website also has the images of the cards, as well as articles that I've written. So I continue to have insights into the letters. And so I've written a lot of essays, and they're also available on the website.
Is that like a blog?
I guess you'd call it a blog, but it's not what I ate for lunch. It's directly about the letters or something from the Torah. And the cards are used for readings. the cards appear in the book. So this book has all color illustrations. So these are the cards, and they're also in the book. But you can't do a reading from the book.
Right, you do.
You'd have to, yeah, you can't shuffle it and then also with the cards, you could take a few cards and put them together and they kind of tell a story, you know? So you can do that as well. So that's another benefit. And also if you want to reflect on a letter during the day, you can put it out, and then as you're going through your day, you would see it, and then you can enter into it more easily.
Meditate on it.
Yeah.
Meditate on it. And then, now this is brand new. This is brand new, and I understand you have this on, you can represent each of the letters?
Yes, all of the letters are available on canvas, and they come in a smaller size and a bigger size. They also are available on metal.
So this is lovely. I just, can you explain this to us? Can we talk about this?
So this is the letter Tzadi. And the letters are so old that they were developed before there were numbers, because those are Arabic numerals. So the letters also represent numbers. So Tzadi is also 90. And in the Psalms it says that the righteous person, tzaddik, tzaddikim, which means a righteous person, a person who does right, is like a date palm, that they continue to do good deeds even in their old age, because a date palm just keeps producing. And so when I read that psalm, I said, wow, this reflects the energy of the letter tzadi. And if you listen to the name of the letter, tzadi, it sounds like tzadik. It's just a kuf at the end. The K sound is added, but you can hear it. Yes?
Yes.
You can hear it? So I made a picture of a date palm because all of the leaves, all the branches of a date palm come from its center, from its heart. And at tzaddik, all of their actions come from their heart. And they're always looking to do good deeds and to do what's right. So I saw them as so very similar. And then I put these dates in the middle, and they're shaped like a heart.
And you have all these eyes.
Yes, because a tzaddik is always looking to do a good deed. So from every part of is the branches, which are like the arms and hands. It's, you know, the idea of always looking to do good.
Now let me ask you something. There are a number of eyes, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10. Does that number 10 have a significance?
It doesn't have a significance to the letter tzadi other than it's 10 times 9. And 9 is tet, and that means good, so it's connected that way. So it's goodness even further, you know, to another level, because you have the single digits, then you have the tens, then you have the hundreds. So it's on yet a higher level.
Well, this is a totally beautiful object. Now you have these are in each of the letters.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when a person buys the book, are we correct? The illustrations are all in color.
Yes.
And so even if you are not a student of this alphabet, you can still glean something from this.
Oh, it's for the purpose of learning about the letters. A number of readers have told me that they wanted to learn to read Hebrew, but they kept confusing certain letters, and they just couldn't get it. But once they read my book, they had a connection because I approach it from so many different ways. So some people really, like, the image really speaks to them. And for other people, it's the psalm. And other people, it's the spiritual application. And some people, they want to read everything. So it's a reference book to constantly renew your connection. So once they had the connection with the letter, it was easier to remember. It's like if you meet somebody at a party and they tell you their name, but you just, this is this one, and you meet each person, but you don't remember everybody's name.
Right.
But if you speak to somebody and they tell you some amazing story, you're much more likely to remember their name, right?
Yes.
You're like, oh, right, you're Eve, and you had a dog, it was so cute, you were telling me about the dog, and then you remember that person's name, much more likely. So this is, each letter can be your friend. They're my friends, all 22 of them. Like, somebody will ask me about a letter, I go, oh, that's my favorite letter, and I'll talk about it, and then they'll ask about another, like, oh, that's my favorite letter. Talk about that.
So, one of the things that happened to me, and I'm sure that everyone who has read your book has an experience similar to that, has some kind of an experience with this book. Mm-hmm. The first time I read it in bits and pieces, and I was at a very busy time in my life, and I'm always busy, but for some reason I was going in 50 different directions, and I found the book interesting, but I did not necessarily connect with it. So then later I found the book again, and I began to read it, and it just blew me away. I have been telling everyone about this book, and I really like the way you write. I like the information that you share. I like the fact that the chapters are short, so a person can, if you have 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you can still, this is where we are now in our culture. These very short applications. So this is a totally beautiful, beautiful book.
I created a format that's uniform for each letter. So if you wanted to only know, the spiritual application for that letter, or to learn information about the image, like what does that image have to do with the letter, you could just go to the letter, go to that part of the information in that chapter and just read that. So like a paragraph, you could just get a little zap of the letter that way. Or you could just turn to the illustration, because the illustrations are nice and big. That one's a little, let's see. And you can just look at the letter itself. Like, here's the letter Chaf. So you can just look at that. Or you could look at the illustration. Or you could look at the derivation of the letter. So Yud is the hand from Yad. So you can see that. But like I say, it's hard to just leave the book open to see the picture. So that's where the cards come in.
So for every picture you have a card, but you have the picture, mm-hmm. but you don't have cards of the alphabet, do you?
Well, the alphabet, it comes at the bottom.
Ah, I see. So you do have.
Yeah.
You do have.
So on the card, you have the Hebrew letter. You have how to pronounce that Hebrew letter. So you don't need to have any knowledge of Hebrew. I mean, if you think about the runes, I'm not part of that culture, but I have some runes, and I just can look up how to pronounce it and the meaning and how to use it. But it's just another system. And then you have the numerical value. So if you're doing a reading, you could count up the numbers that are on the cards, and then that has a significance to you if you do numerology, or if it's your favorite number, or your age, or anything like that. So you have the letter, and then you have the numerical value.
Wow. So, what are the most popular applications of the readings? In other words, what do the most people who use your cards, what kind of readings do they seek through these cards?
A lot of people like to look at their names. So they could look up their name and spell out their name.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Shall we do that?
Okay.
Let's choose a name and go for it.
Well, my name's Avigayil. We can try
Okay,
that.
let's go with Avigayil.
Let's see. We've got the Gimel. So I'm going to do it this way until let's see. I got to find all the letters. Okay. Avigayil. Actually, there's a number of, so you could see it this way, you could turn it around. So Hebrew is written right to left.
Okay.
So Aleph is the first letter.
Okay.
Aleph, and that's the silent letter. It's the only letter that has no vocalized sound other than the vowel that goes underneath it.
Wow.
So the letters are only consonants, and then there's vowels that are put underneath or above or to the side. So it's the primal energy of creation. So the rest of the alphabet is clothing that energy, that primal energy. And it is the first letter in the word or, light, and ahava, love, because both are equal for everything, right? Light and love shines equally on everything, and it comes from the heart. So pictured here is a big, big heart, just full of love, and there's so much energy that even her hair is vibrating. So now, since it's my name, I could tell you that my motivation in life is through love. I love the letters, I love learning, I love people, I love the planet, I love animals, and I love creating. So that's a very important letter to me. Then the second letter is the vet, or bet. If you put a dagesh, or a little dot, you sound it as a b sound. So there are 7 letters that change sound because of a dot in the middle. So bet is the first letter of the whole Torah, Bereshit, bara Elohim et ha-shamayim v'ha'aretz. So bet is from the word bayit. So the original form of this letter was a bird's eye view of a house, bayit. And you take all of the creative energy and you have to enclose it, because you can't just have energy all zapping everywhere. You have to house it, you have to contain it. So here, pictured is a little girl holding the world. So I like to think of creation, when you think of being the creative spirit, you have to have that kind of childlike wonder that fuels your imagination, and you play with your materials, and you create something beautiful. And I'm a person who's always creating and always thinking of making things, and I'm always using my hands. So that's what inspired this picture. And then Gimel. Gimel comes from Gamal. I have a particular affection for this card since it was the very first one that I did, and it was the initiator of the entire project. So this is central, and it's central to my name, which is kind of cool, because who knew when my parents gave me that name that it would be the long journey of my life. So pictured here, comes from a story from the Bible where Rebecca is approached by Abraham's servant Eliezer. And he is charged with having to go back home and find a bride for his son Isaac. And Abraham says to Eliezer, if you don't find a girl from my family back home, you're absolved of this obligation. But you must try to do it. And he says, I will do it. And he speaks to God and he says, God, I will know she's the one, for I will ask her, could you give me a drink of water? And she'll say, not only will I give you water, but I will give water to all of your camels. Now, camels drink a lot of water when they drink. So that's a lot of water. And what's really exciting for me about this part of the Torah is that he didn't even finish saying his complete prayer to God when she came out and approached him. And he asked, and she did exactly what he asked God to show him as a sign. So she came out and she filled her jar, cod, which is pictured here, with water to water the camels. And then she was asked, will you come with me to be a bride for my master's son? And she said, yes. That's the short version. I'll be talking about it actually on Monday, because next Sabbath, that is the Parsha of the week, the part of the Torah that we study. So I'll be talking about that. Woodstock Jewish Congregation .org, Woodstock, it's WJCshul.org, and you go to Shtickle Torah, and you can actually come on and listen in. So, pictured here is the cod and the camel that she rode on. Now, why do I have a camel here? Because in Hebrew, gamal means camel, and gimel is the letter, and you can hear the same consonants, it's just different vowels. And if you look at the letter gimel, it kind of looks like the neck of the camel with a leg coming out running. So this letter looks more like its derivation than the other letters.
This card is so beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
mean, I love them all, but I've gotten to know them the second time I read the book.
So,
More than the first time.
So I put her inside the vessel with God watching over, because God made it all happen, which is pretty cool. And the camel is the camel is the animal, I should say, that can go the long distance. They drink a lot of water, they store fat in their hump that turns into water as they go, and they can withstand cold temperatures as well as hot temperatures. They're very sturdy animals. And in Hebrew, we have a related word, gimilut chasidim. Again, you can hear the root. We have three-letter roots that then branch off into many different words. So from gamal, the animal that can go the long distance, we have gimilut chasidim, which is the act of loving kindness that we go the extra distance from our inner resources. So we're kind of, when you do good deeds, you're acting like a camel. You're going the long distance. And that's a very important part of my life. So as you can see, when you're exploring your name through the letters, you see what kinds of elements from the letters apply to your life. So Aleph, I wish I had more energy, because that's the primordial energy of life. But it goes through my hands so that I can do good deeds. And then it's fueled by my connection to God, which is the Yud is the first letter in the holy name of God, Yud He Vav He. And our actions are seen through God, so it's like God is looking through our hands. And also the sign of the butterfly is this in sign language, and I just thought that was kind of neat to put my hands that way, because a butterfly is the animal of transformation. So when you act, you transform your world. And they say that a whole world can be changed just by the fluttering of a butterfly wing.
Wow.
And then the last letter, oh, this is my favorite letter. I love this letter. Lamed. Lamed, Lomed, and Limod, to learn and to teach. And I was playing with the letter. This is the letter here. And I was playing with it, and when I put it in the mirrored image here, so this is how you write it, this purple here, and then when I mirrored it, it formed a heart. And Lamed is the first letter in the word Lev, which means heart. So I thought that was pretty neat, and that was very easy to create the image for Lamed. And I did this, and you know, everything I do comes from my heart. When I write, it's about what's important to me, what's in my heart, and whatever I do, whatever creative activity I engage myself in, it comes from my heart. If I'm cooking, I put love in it, and I only make things that come from love. When I knit, it's for people I love. I don't just knit, you know. I knit with love. And I think that everything one does should be with love. So that's who I am. So there's my name.
Can we go to,
Wait, here we
can
go.
we do numbers? You talked about numbers.
Yes, we can do numbers.
Can we do 2022?
We could do, okay, 2022. So you would need 2 of 20, right? Since it's 2020, or we could do, no, yeah. So we would have to do this twice, 2022.
Okay.
Right? But it's just basically Chaf and Bet. And those, of course, are related numerically. So you have Chaf, which is the palm of the hand, that which you receive. And Rabbi Meir, who was a Talmudic sage, said we come into the world with a closed fist, as if to say, I will acquire everything. And we leave the world with an empty palm, an open palm, as if to say, I have acquired nothing, because ultimately you can't take it with you. So just let it go.
That's great.
So that's a good advice for this year.
Yes.
It's like, let it go. Don't hold on to too much. I think this, because of COVID and everything that's going on in the world and climate crisis, people are trying to hold on really tight. And And the whole thing is, you can't hold on. You have to just let it go. So don't hold on to grudges, and don't hold on to what you think. You know, don't hoard. People buying all that toilet paper, you don't have to do that, because you just have to have faith. You have to have emunah, which we talked about last time. Emunah is related to amen. The words are connected. So when you're saying amen, you're really saying you have faith that it's going to work out.
That's what we're working on now.
Yes.
Yes.
And then bait is two, and two is duality also. So whatever is good always has there's always a little bit of badness, you know, there's always a little sadness. With a good time, because it's going to end, so you're a little sad. And if you're sad, know that it's going to change and you'll be glad.
That's a wonderful piece of advice. That's great.
It's a good way to look at the new year.
Do people ever do readings about the seasons? In other words, would we go to would we ask for a reading of the winter?
Let's see what I've got here. I actually brought some. Well, you know, the winter is about taking a break.
Yes.
Right now, we're in a big change.
Yes.
We say goodbye to summer.
Yes.
I'd really like to say goodbye to the mosquitoes. They can go live somewhere else. No, don't visit me. Please don't visit me, mosquitoes. The harvest is in. The crops are no longer beginning to grow. We're harvesting them. So it's a time to go inward and to spend more time inward and inside, which is what I do in the winter. I don't go anywhere. I just stay inside.
Well, we do. Even those of us who do not stay inside, we eat different foods.
Yes.
We wear different clothes.
Yes, what we've harvested.
Yes, and we wear different clothes. Mm-hmm. We listen to different music. I mean, everything is different in the winter.
Mm-hmm. It's time to take a break from all that hard work of planting and harvesting, and because in the spring you're planting the seeds of whatever it is. Even if you're not a gardener, there's that energy of things beginning, of the apple blossoms opening, and then in the summer everything's, you've got your peaches and nectarines and corn, and now it's starting to slow down and you have the beautiful colors. So it's sort of releasing all that energy. Is just sort of, it's the last vestige of all that energy. The sun is now turning from yellow to gold and orange and then brown, and we go into kind of white of winter. So it's time to take a break. So what does it look like to take a break?
Well, I don't know. We have to do the cards and see.
So how about you shuffle and pick a card?
Shuffle and pick a card. Okay. All right. Wait a minute. I don't even know if I can shuffle.
Oh, just shuffle this way.
Just shuffle this way.
Yeah.
That's interesting. When I read tarot, I tell people, okay, now shuffle anyway. And now I'm realizing when I say to somebody what that means. Okay, here we go, girl. Now, pick a card. Mm-hmm. Okay, this one attracted my attention.
Ah, ha.
Now, we've already gotten that card earlier this evening. Yes.
Yeah. So what does that say to you? What is it? So the question is, what does it look like for you? What does taking a break look like for you?
I see a long, quiet time. Going the distance.
Mm.
That's what that says to me.
Okay. What, you want to say anything more?
I believe that's it.
Okay. Okay. It's also about letting go. So if you think there's more to do, maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. So then, what's the benefit of taking a break?
Rest. Rest and rejuvenation. Choose another card?
Yeah.
Rest, rejuvenation, relaxation.
Oh, under a tree. The
Oh,
earth.
wow.
The earth.
Yes.
Being connected to nature.
Yes.
And ion means eye, comes from the eye. It was originally a circle to symbolize an eye. And then over time, they didn't make the circle so well and it kind of opened at the top. And it became the ion. And if you look at the way trees grow, you could see the ion as where the branches join, right? You see
Okay.
it? You see
Yes.
how, and when you go outside, check out what a tree looks like, and you'll see the letter ion.
Wow.
And then the leaves, I was looking at a tree one time. This is how I got the idea for this card. And there was a little bit of wind, so the leaves were rustling in the wind. So I was looking up at the leaves, and they seemed to me like eyes, all looking down at me. And that's the derivation of the letter ion. And it's also the first letter in the word eitz, which means tree.
Oh, wow.
So the letter's actually in the tree. And then the leaves are like the derivation, ion. It's like all the leaves are eyes looking at us. So the illustration has all these eyes in the leaves. So what does that mean to you?
The world is watching. I don't know. Is that good?
It's wonderful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the world is watching.
Yes.
Yeah. And what else? So the question is, what is the benefit of taking a break?
The benefit of taking a break is that you get to take a deep breath and you get to meditate for a moment. And if you don't meditate, you get to think for a moment about your situation. You get to discover within yourself what your situation is. And some people cannot do that, but a lot of people really enjoy it.
And you love nature?
Yes.
And so if you took a break, would you spend more time looking at the trees and...
Well, that's what we would hope. I would hope that we would all take time to look at the trees and look at what's going on around us. This is a very crucial time for our planet, and we do need to do more of that.
We need to take a break from our destructive habits.
Yes.
And you take a break, and when you stop, you can look. You can look at the trees, and you can respect them. You can respect what you are doing and how your actions affect everything around you. And what you can't see, the eyes, but there's an inner eye.
Which is all seeing and all knowing.
And that's the deep seeing. So when you take a break, you get to see inside yourself and be like a tree, because trees are planted, they're rooted in the soil, and they're not going anywhere. They're staying right there. But the roots underneath are always, it's a real happening scene underneath with all those
All the time.
communicators. All the time. They're on all the time, and they're standing there, sentinels, always keeping us company. When I take my walk, there's this one tree I have a relationship with. It's a huge white pine, really, really tall. And I always look up at it and admire it. And there's a scar on the tree where a huge branch, that's this big oval. And it reminds me of Snow White, the mirror, because it's shaped like this oval mirror, and it has sap running down it, and the sap has these patterns. And so each day I stop and I look at it, and I look into the abstract patterns to see what's appearing in front of me. And it's amazing. I always see like different faces, like an angry face, happy face, radiant face with light coming out. It's like a mirror of my soul in the tree, because we have this relationship.
And that is the message that you are receiving from that tree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that the tree is communicating with you.
Absolutely, yeah. So taking a break is about getting messages from deep within, from your rootedness. What are you really rooted into? So the third card would be, what would change if you took a break? Aha! That's really cool.
Is it really?
Yes. Nun is the letter of emergence, because in Aramaic, Nun means fish, and they emerge from the deep. And this image is actually the very last card that I did. It was like, how do you make an image for emergence, you know? And then it came to me, in the story of creation, when the water separated and allowed the earth to appear. So that's what's pictured in this image.
Wow.
So something is going to emerge. And it really comes out of this reflection of stopping. That when you stop physically, something else is allowed to grow and emerge. And another word that begins with nun is neshama, which means soul. So from your physical doing, you enter into the realm of soul. And then your soul can speak to you. You can really get in touch with another dimension of your being. Because we're not doings, we're beings. And that's what the cessation of activity allows us to access.
It allows you to be.
Mm-hmm. Allows you to be. So those are the three aspects. Now we could add them up. 120, 100, what is it? 90 and 140. So 140 reduces to 5. And 5 is the letter He, and it's experience. It's experiencing life with our 5 senses, with our 5 fingers on our hands, each hand.
So this is an extremely experiential reading, this particular one. When you reduce it down, you come down to the experience.
Yeah, it's the experience.
Right.
And when you're still, that's when you have the experience of everything. You're aware of your sentient being, your smell, taste, touch, hearing. Your senses are heightened through that. So that's the blessing of taking a break.
That's wonderful. Oh, that's gorgeous. Okay. So what do we do next?
Well, I have another one. We see what you like. There's one for growth and another one for dealing with pain or illness.
Well, that's a tough call. I think we should go with dealing with pain or illness, because so many people are grieving now.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, this other one I would love, because that's one of my favorite words, but this is the one that is going to...
That spoke to me. That really spoke to me. And I want to give credit on Instagram to Cartomancy Spreads. I got these spreads from that site on Instagram. I want to credit them.
What kind of a site is that?
It's just something it's a tarot tarot spreads that whoever, I don't know the name of the person, it's just called cartomancy.
Wow.
And I was looking at them and I went, oh, this would be a really great reading. So if you have a tarot book on different spreads or different readings, you can use that with these cards.
But you know what also, this goes beyond tarot. This goes to affirmations. You know, a lot of times an affirmation is a couple of words. I mean, there are a lot of times when an affirmation is a sentence or even a paragraph. But here, these affirmations are phrases. And they're individual words. And they are such strong words. You know, because there's no fooling around with these. So if we're going to deal with pain and illness.
So shuffle them again.
Shuffle them
Redo
again.
them.
How are we going to, well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to deal with all this just one card at a time.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to deal with it. This is very, very interesting.
And there's a theory, you can accept it or not, that one person's reading is everybody's reading.
Oh, I definitely believe that.
Yeah.
That I can go with. You cannot do a reading of a person without including everything around them. Even though when I do tarot readings, I don't like to have an audience. I like to have just this person, but it's this person is the center, and then all of this is around. And I have been known to throw people out. I've been known to telling people you have to go. If they can't keep their mouths shut.
Yeah, because you don't want to interrupt the energy.
Right, right.
So we have a huge audience on the internet. It isn't interrupting us,
Right.
but they're part of this reading.
That's absolutely
and I
true.
really hope that what we're saying today is of comfort.
And it will resonate out because it goes to YouTube, and YouTube goes
Oh my goodness.
everywhere. Okay.
So what's the general energy behind your pain or your illness or your sadness? I mean,
What is
yeah, this
grief?
this is for
grief.
you. Well, pick the card.
Pick the card.
Pick a card. Pick a card.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Chet is 8, which is eternity, infinity, and it's the first letter in the word chai, which is life.
Okay.
So there's something in your life that's painful. The word chet itself comes from an archery term, which means missing the mark. So maybe you've tripped and fallen, you know, you miss the mark and you get hurt, or
I think
know.
not only myself,
Yeah.
but when I think of the humankind at large,
Just
I'm
a mistake.
what in the world?
Yeah, some mistakes are being made.
Where did we go wrong on
You
this
have to
one?
put nature at the center.
Yes. Yeah.
As you can see, these cards are very much nature-based.
Yes.
There's trees. I don't know how many trees there are.
But that is so important.
Because they're important to me.
They-
This deck reflects me.
Yes.
I mean, that's the only way I could do it. It's
Well,
how it affects.
it also
I express
reflects humankind,
Mhm.
and it reflects all of the life on this planet. You cannot have the life on the planet without the trees.
Absolutely.
That's just, you know.
The standing ones.
Yes, you really cannot. And, you know, you can call all these different things whatever you want. It comes down to the trees. Or for me, it does.
Well, they provide a lot of medicine, food,
Air.
shade.
Listen, they clean the air,
They clean the air.
which is right now a difficult task at best. So that's wonderful.
So this is, the next card is, what is my pain telling me?
Okay.
What is my pain telling me?
We
Gimel.
keep getting the same cards.
Well, we didn't get Chet before.
No, but
Gimel.
and I love this.
Yeah, well,
Oh.
I think you're sending the energy to pick it up.
Probably. Oh yeah.
So what I get from this is if you've maybe reached the end of the distance, you can't go any further. Maybe you're going too much.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, it's what is my see, you have the richness of it, and then you have a question, and that changes the meaning.
Right.
So what is my pain telling me? You know, if you have pain, it's because you need to stop, and the Gimel is a card that keeps going. So perhaps your pain is telling you,
I think
keep going.
I think yes. I think keeping going is part of the pain, and serving, because in your card originally she was serving water to everyone, and that's such a beautiful that must continue. Yes. Oh, that's beautiful.
How can I listen more deeply? Hey. So Havaya is the experience of the senses. So how can I listen more deeply is maybe there's a sense that you're not paying attention to.
Well, if you're going to listen more deeply, then you have to learn to listen beyond your ears. Mm-hmm. And you have to learn to listen with your sense of touch and what you hear and what you smell and what you perceive.
Very often I've been asked, well, what does your pain look like? What color is it? Do you have a taste in your mouth? Do you have a metallic taste? Is there a bitter taste?
Yes.
So it's your pain speaks to you through your senses.
Yes.
And to pay attention more to those senses, and you'll get a deeper understanding of what's going on through those senses. And
absolutely.
With acupuncture, they look at your tongue and they feel your pulse.
All of the above, yes.
Yeah.
And that is such a beautiful card. Your cards are so lovely.
Thank you. And again, there's a lot of growth here. There's a lot of growth. So to know that there's growth within the pain.
Absolutely. Yes. That stopping will grow something else. People go, oh, well, if I don't do that, then I won't do that. I can't accomplish that. But when you stop, something else happens instead. And yes.
How many times people say, oh, that accident or that divorce was actually a very good thing that happened.
Yeah.
So I met so-and-so and they became my friend, and then we did this, and then I wouldn't have been doing this project if it wasn't for this da-da-da-da, So there's always, like I said, there's always a gift within it. Pain, I think, is a very strangely wrapped up gift.
Yes.
All right. How can I release others' attitudes toward me? When we're in pain, it's not always obvious to people that we aren't well, or perhaps we're grieving something. It could be psychological, it could be spiritual, and it could be physical. And people don't always acknowledge that. And that adds another layer to our experience. So how can we release that? Because we don't want to be hooked into that.
Okay, so we draw a card.
Yes. How can we release it? Love them.
With love.
And love yourself.
Yes.
Acknowledge yourself, that this isn't about you, this is about me. I'm having a problem, and you just have to love yourself. If nobody else gives it to you, you got to do it.
That's true.
Because you're responsible for your happiness. Nobody can take that away.
That's very true.
And it's an important lesson to learn over and over again.
You know, that's extremely important, because sometimes when we get wrapped up in, for whatever reason, in somebody else's problem, we have to separate ourselves from that problem and from the other people. In other words, you have to get out, you have to extricate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And loving yourself, liking yourself is the first step.
Absolutely.
If you don't care for yourself, you're not going to get any respect.
That's right.
That's amazing.
And the other thing about light and love, because this is the primordial energy of the universe, is to know we're all connected.
Yes.
And perhaps people are hard on others who they see as unfit in some way because they're complaining about being sick or whatever, because they're afraid for themselves. They don't want to appear weak. It's often a projection of their fear of becoming like you. Oh my God, you're sick? I don't want to be sick.
Yes.
I don't want to have that problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as we get older, we start to not feel as lively as we were when we were 5 years old, although I feel like a little 5-year-old inside.
Yes.
Just the outside is not answering back the way I'd like. But I have to just connect with other people and realize that it's not really about you, maybe it's about them.
Yes.
And that we're all in this together. We really are. Let's see. Who or what are my allies in this?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And what's going to be
That's
the
hard to
ally?
tell, because sometimes you may think someone is an ally and they're not. What in the world?
That's the free card.
What does that mean?
What does it mean? Not to have a defined answer. It's not
That's
defined.
beautiful.
Yeah, who are my allies? They're not defined. They could be
Anybody.
anything under the sun.
Oh, wow. How wild.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but it doesn't have a value. It does not have a numerical value at all.
No, it's everything. It's everything and nothing at all. This empty sky. And when you look at the empty sky, there's so much in it.
Wow.
Ah.
Okay.
And a void is always filled.
Always.
So when you feel like there's nobody there,
There is someone there.
somebody's going to come. Or something. And find it. And how can I best support myself through this challenge? Tav.
What does that mean?
Tav is the last letter. It's the last letter of the alphabet. And it's the last letter in the word emet, truth. And the word emet starts with aleph, the first letter, and then the second letter is the middle letter, mem, and then ends because the truth encompasses everything from beginning to end. So your best ally is the truth. Live in truth.
Go girl. Isn't that fabulous? Look, we went from nothing to the ultimate.
There you go.
Look at that
This
car.
this is one of my favorite.
Oh, this is what? Look at that. Isn't it beautiful?
This depicts the moment when we were all at Sinai receiving the Torah. And the Torah obviously has all of the letters.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, we're down to 1 minute. Oh, I cannot thank you enough. Tell us again how we can get in touch with you.
lettersfromheaventhebook.com.
Okay? And people can get in touch with you for the book. They can get in touch with you for the deck. They can get in touch with you for the art. And they can get in touch with you for readings.
Yes.
Absolutely. This has been a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again, girl.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ellen.